What's up, 8th grade? Mr. Agnos here. This video is for homework 14-2, and this topic is called constructing a scatter plot. So in the previous unit, you just had to, they gave you a scatter plot and you sort of had to be able to read it, right? Well, in this one, they're going to give you a table of data, okay, a bunch of information that's been collected. Imagine actually like if I gave a survey to the class and I said, hey, what's your height and what's your shoe size, right? And I would collect all that information and then create the scatter plot from that information. So looking at number 1 here, it says the table shows the average price of a pair of jeans and the number of pairs of jeans sold, and they give us this table of information. And we have to figure out, okay, which one of these 4 graphs represents this table. The first thing to remember about a table is that the top row is always going to be your x coordinates, and the bottom row is always going to be your y coordinates. And you can see that if you look at the graphs here. Notice that the average price here, our x coordinates, is listed on the x-axis of every single graph here, right? And how the number sold is listed on the y-axis of every graph here. So just remember, when they give you a table, the top row is always your x's and the bottom row is always your y's. Okay, so a lot of times this can be kind of overwhelming. The tables can actually get much longer than this, and there's dots everywhere. So here's the strategy that I use. I pick one point to start with. I'm just going to pick with this one. I'm going to start with this right here. Okay, so remember the top row is x, the bottom row is y. So this right here actually represents the coordinate pair 21, 61. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and look at the different graphs here, and I'm going to see which ones actually include this point, right? They have to have this point to be the answer. If they don't have this point, it can't be the correct answer. So I definitely suggest zooming in on the graphs. I'm not going to do that because it's going to mess up all my little drawings here. But I definitely recommend hitting this pop-out button right here on each graph. It makes the graphs much easier to read, right? So if you hit this little button right here, it'll bring out a pop-up of the graph. Okay, so let's go ahead and look here. So on this one, the average price, let's see, 5, 10, 50, here's 20, and here's this dot right here. And I don't know exactly what it is, but the x value is a little bit past 20, which is good, but look at the y value. I need a y value of 61. This one has a y value, looks like 125. Whatever it is, it's above 100, right? So I can look at this graph and know that it does not include this point, right? It does not include the point 2161. The point 2161 would actually be, I don't know, somewhere right around there. So I can cross off this graph. Can't be that one. Let's look at graph B. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go over to 20, a little bit past 20 here. So here's this dot. Again, it looks like it's going by 25s, right? 25, 50, which would make this 75. So this represents the point, 21, a little bit greater than 20. But whatever this height is, it's definitely greater than 75. So I know it can't be this one. All right, and so do you see how I'm sort of just using the one point? I'm eliminating choices here. All right, so that leaves me with 2 graphs. This one looks pretty good, right? Here's 50, so I go over to 20, a little bit past 20, and then this dot is between, right? There's 75 and there's 50, so that looks pretty good. The next point would be 2881. So if I go over to almost 30, and that's a little bit above 75, so this one's looking pretty good. So this graph is actually looking pretty good. Okay, so I'm actually going to stop there. I'm going to say this is definitely a maybe, right? And we'll come back to this one because I think looking at this last one will tell us for sure that yes, this is in fact our graph. All right, look at this one right here. Right away, I noticed that, and I saw this earlier, which is why I'm doing this. This one has an average price of 10, right? If I go up to this dot right here, an average price of 10 and some y value greater than 50. Look at our chart. we don't have an average price of 10 anywhere. So I know that this point doesn't exist in this table right here. So I know it can't be this graph. So this one is definitely going to be my graph right here. And again, we can maybe let's look at this last point, 40, 130. If I go over to 40, I go up. Well, this is 100, this is 125, and you can see that our dot is just a little bit above 125, which is about 130. All right, so this is going to be our scatter plot. Got it. All right, let's take a look at another one. These take a little practice. Some are easier than others. That one took actually quite a bit of work. Some you won't need to do that much work. All right, look at this one. This one's talking gasoline prices. And let's recall that the top is always going to be our X values, and the bottom row is always going to be our Y values. And it says the table shows the year and the average price for 1 gallon of gasoline at a certain gas station. Complete the scatter plot to represent the data. All right, I talked a lot about last week about trends and how scatter plots help us identify trends. Look at this graph here. We're moving forward in time, right? Every time we move to the right, we're moving forward a year. And in general, due to inflation, things get more expensive, right? Year after year after year. Well, look what's happening to the price of gasoline. It's going up, right? In 2002, it was $1.36, and then a year later, $1.53, and a year later, $1.88, and it continuously just kind of keeps going up, right? It goes up all the way until this last one, and then we have a dip here. I'll use a different color. We do have a dip, but for this whole stretch, the price is increasing, and then finally we have a dip. So the price is increasing, and then we have a dip. So look at our graphs. I can immediately eliminate 2 graphs. This graph right here shows prices that are decreasing. I mean, if I'm starting at 2002 and I'm ending at 2010, this one shows the price going down, right? This would be great, but this one shows the price going down. We have a negative slope, right? The price is decreasing. So right away, I know it can't be this one. And the same reason here. This one also shows a data that is going down. It says, hey, if I start in 2002 and I'm going to 2010, the price is going down year after year. Well, that's not what the table shows, right? The table shows a price that is increasing, right? That is going up. So I know it can't be this one. So now I need to look at these 2 graphs, which do look very similar. And they actually both kind of do look like the little sketch I made right here, right? They have a kind of a line going up. Right, we kind of have this line going up and then a little dip, a line going up and then a little dip. So let's figure out which one it is. All right, right away I'm looking at this one, and in the year 2002, we're just a tiny bit above 1. It looks like they're going by halves here. We're just a tiny bit above 1. Look at this one. In 2002, we're almost to 1.5. I would definitely say, if I'm looking at just this point right here, that 1.36 is definitely, boy, you can hear all the noise back there, is definitely closer to 1.5 than it is to 1. So right away, I'm leaning that it is this graph, okay? And the second point actually gives us our answer. Here, and by second point, I mean, look at this dot right here, and look at this dot right here. The second point is, in 2003, the price was 1.53. That means it's above 1.5. Here, we have a dot that is above 1.5, and here the dot is clearly below 1.5. So we know it can't be this one. So this is the graph that accurately reflects this data. And again, it shows this upward trend, and then something happened, right? The economy tanked, or there was some kind of, I don't know. Every now and then there are things that cause oil to spike in one direction or the other, or gas to spike in one direction or the other. But this graph clearly models the data that we're seeing here. All right. So I guess the bottom line with this this assignment is the questions are all very similar. They're all like that. Some of them are much easier than others to tell. You just got to be patient. Use some logic. See if there's a pattern, right? Is something increasing over time? Is it decreasing over time? Eliminate choices. Check a few points, and that should allow you to come up with the correct answer. All right, as always, this video is meant to just help you get started. Please ask lots of questions in class. If I walk you through a problem, make sure you hit similar question and do it on your own. And I'll see you guys soon.